Yeah, me know. This is Kia Bamba, so we run the whole of Switzerland and the whole of Europe, and we run the whole of etc, etc. You don't know, devil shaman says so, me I back them to the max. And it's like some idiot someone want to stop them from get a piece of the pie. Oh, I'm told disrespect, gonna go and die. Yeah, me know. Kia Bamba, them up.
Welcome to Only Friends on a Power Day, your one-stop spot for all things snow, mountain and travel. Get all you need to know about epic destinations, inspiring stories from local legends all around the globe, as well as creators, entrepreneurs, brands, owners and more. We are here to talk about what's hot, what's changing the game, and what's incoming. Come along for the ride, froth out, and let's have fun doing it. So, today on this weekend on the couch, we have two very good friends of mine. Both who actually, I guess I met in wonderful Hakuba. Mikey, probably a lot of time to begin with around that coffee counter in the rhythm shop.
The regular.
Yep. So this is Mikey Jarrett, aka Mikey J Orange, everyone's favourite redhead.
Yeah.
Mikey spent a lot of time working for Evergreen over in Hakuba, guiding, loving shredding, I guess, rejuvenated into learning skis as well as snowboards, and just loved it all, I guess.
Yep. Across all the boards for sure.
Yeah.
Anything snow.
And Liam, kind of similar. We met in Hakuba. Liam Gordon Glass, I guess. Glassy Gordon.
Yeah.
Liam was, from my memory, a late call-up recommendation to come work for us probably 6 years ago now in the rhythm shop. And I spoke to Liam, and at that stage, I remember he had worked in a rental shop. He had experience doing skis, and we were desperate for a couple of extra staff. And he was like, yeah, I can be there in a couple of weeks. Seemed super chill. Came in and did an epic job, and yeah, still working there today. The rest is history.
Still there.
Yeah.
The place changed my life.
Yeah. So to kick this off before we get more specifically into mountains and Hakuba being our main focus, and then maybe, a little bit on main range in Australia and Mikey's experience in NZ. Let's start with you, Glassy. How did your snow journey kind of really start? Tell us a bit about you. Obviously, you got a pretty cool background with your dad and your brother being surfboard shapers. Tell us how you ended up in the mountains and what's drawn you to the backcountry and to Hakuba.
Cool. Well, it's quite a long-winded story. When I first was growing up, my dad's a surfboard shaper, so I was always in the ocean. But for me, the bodyboard was what my passion. Dad didn't really like it being the shaper he is. But once he realised I was getting quite good, he understood that I was enjoying it and let me pass on a few years. I started doing state titles, Australian titles, get sponsors. But got kind of burnt out I kind of lost the love of it a little bit, just from what I feel like was just pressure from sponsors taking away the love of the sport for me. It was no longer for me, it was for them. I think I was just a bit young and didn't know how to deal with the stresses of it. So, and at the time I had four-wheel drive, so I kind of stopped surfing, got into four-wheel driving, and ended up in the Victorian high country on a four-wheel drive trip midwinter. Freeze their ass off, and I drove on some snow, and I was like, what's this kind of stuff? This looks fun. And then we made our way back to Dead Horse Gap, above Fredbo there, and that was my first snow experience at 21. Next week later, went down, rode Perisher, and something clicked. It was like, last chance now. And finished my trade that year. Next year, back-to-back weekends, making some money on the coast to fund the snowboarding and surfing as much as I could. And then seasons pretty much from then on in till now.
Yep.
And ended up in Hakuba 2019, working for this big fella. And at that time, they were handing out these mugs, and I found yours.
Wow.
And I had to bring it back.
Oh, thanks, mate.
That is one of the best bits of kit I have in my backcountry bag for night camping.
There we go. The Boston Toner Rhythm Japan mug.
Well, it's pretty cool, yes.
Sick. Thank you for that. That was a good little surprise.
Yeah.
Well played.
Smuggled that back this year, just for you.
Put my drink in there for sure. Yeah. So I guess.
Quite long-winded to get to the snow.
Yeah.
But then I think I'm here forever now. Mountains are a wonderful place, and they give me so much. The ocean doesn't.
Yeah. I guess, Glassy, one thing that we'll talk about more with you is with your mountain journey and from your family, being shapers, you've always had a really cool affinity with your craft and alternative shapes and getting into trying things like hard boots and all sorts of stuff, which is really cool. And I think, if you look at your style of boarding, a battle quick teaser that really comes through. A full, I guess, carver, soul surfer style.
So snow surfer would what I'd like to call it as. It's because the Japanese, they have a certain style of board to suit the style of snow over there, and they're based off surfboards. And living in the family, they've always had many, many surfboards lying around. Now carried that on and now have many, many snowboards laying in all parts of the world, ready for my enjoyment wherever I go.
Yeah, I've may have been helpful in getting you some of them over the other side of the world that I pointed to. So before we carry on, Mikey, guide extraordinaire. I always tell people whenever I introduce Mikey is that, Mikey's a snowboard guide. I met him in Hakuba, and he used to guide Travis Rice when he came to Hakuba. So big shoes to fill from there, mate.
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I guess firstly I'll put a stop to that, is that I probably didn't guide Travis Rice, but I did get the opportunity to go snowboarding with him for a couple of days, which was, amazing, in the Japanese backcountry. Yeah, I think mule might have been a good description, as in like carried my stuff while I shred this line and then dig me out if I get caught in Avalanche.
You come with me.
Yeah, if you can keep up, which I couldn't. But anyway, story for me. I've been skiing since a really young age, luckily for me. My parents, I grew up in Wellington, which is about 4 hours away from the snow, so on the North Island of New Zealand. But we used to take holiday trips up to Whakapapa near Turangi. So anybody in the North Island will know that one. And always say if you can ski there, you can ski anywhere in the world because it's one massive ice sheet most of the time. It has its good days. I'm not saying that, but it has its really good days. So I was always on the snow since a young age, but not heaps, but enough that I knew I really liked it. Right. So that sort of got me through a few trips. Never really took it that seriously. And then obviously sort of got to about 20. I wanted to go traveling. OE, first stop, Canada, Whistler for a whole season. I think I clocked up 100 days on the mountain there, between working and other things that you get up to in Whistler. And that's probably where it really kicked off for me, that I was like, wow, I love this. We had I think it was 2011, it's like the second snowiest season on record in Whistler, and I just lost my mind. Yeah, that was amazing. Powder, got the whole experience, and that really set the course for my life, actually. Yeah. So jumping a few years in between that.
Bug caught.
Yeah, totally, mate. Had me Forum Destroyer. That was probably the coolest snowboard you could get at the moment at that time. And I had the bug, man, and came back, did a little bit of mincing around, and then found myself in Wanaka, which it's ended up spending about 4 years there, four or 5 seasons. And I'd never been in New Zealand long enough to actually get a visa to go to Japan, and then happened to live in New Zealand again in Wanaka that I qualified to apply for a Japanese visa, and that was my next stop. And it just sort of spiraled from there. Wanaka, Triple Cone, pass holder. A lot of great skiers and snowboarders that come out of that place, You got Finn Billius, Hank Billius, they're just crushing it on the Free Ride World Tour at the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just like an amazing scene there, as in like just the most beautiful spot, great snow, great terrain, great culture. Yeah. So yeah, got my decided there. My flatmate went, "Oh, I've been doing all this snowboarding, but I'm thinking about buying a split board." And I was like, "Heck yeah, let's get into it." And bought a split board that season. Did a little bit of mucking around, and then found myself in Hakuba for my first season ever. Arrived really early and sort of got to know some of the local staff. So shout out here to Dave Enright. He employed me for my first season. Evergreen Outdoors and
Big
Davo, yeah, and opportunities just came from there, and just got to meet some really great people. I ended up rooming with one of the guides for that season, Robbie, and he just took me under his wing and showed me a few things, and I saw him, and he was going out and skiing pow every day, and I said, "How do I do that?" And he was getting some money for it too, so I just started training, just like getting courses under my belt, sort of started taking it a bit more seriously. And then, yeah, it's supposed to go on from there to different countries, but what can I say? Hakuba, mountains, snow, weather, people, it's just got everything. Yeah, and so, yeah, I just made it my mission. I ended up doing, I think it was 13 back-to-back winters. Time I kind of finished up, and just doing as much skiing and snowboarding as I possibly could. So that's how I sort of got to where I was at.
I guess one thing to touch on with all of that is Mikey and I shared a building. So Mikey was working for Evergreen Guides. I ended up also helping look after their fleet at the time.
Yes.
So he would come into the shop, apart from being there every morning for a coffee and having a yarn. He'd come in and beg that we tune the fleet for starters.
There's a lot of bigging going on too.
Every winter, and if he could hang out or fix some things. And
the gurus in the back of the shop helping me fix a few split boards that needed a bit of love, that's for sure.
And I'd definitely catch Mikey out the back a few times fixing something quickly and having a yarn with the boys when he probably should have been putting that on the tab. It was Mikey, so I let it up for sure.
And then I think it's just, hanging out. We started shredding quite a bit after that.
Yeah, I guess at that point with you and me, Oyuki was really trying to make sure they had a local presence across Japan, and Gus Cutler was really keen to make sure that the products were being tested, and you being a guide who was out on the mountain and getting after it a lot, gave a lot of great feedback and continued to still do that too.
Yep.
Recently.
Yeah, till recently. Yeah. No one's ever going to say no to some free snow gear, are they?
No.
But yeah, and it was great gear as well. And like any feedback I gave was taken on board. And yeah, it was awesome to see how they developed over the years as well. And now they're just killing it. Huge brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's, after a bit of a background, let's move on to Classy. We'll start with you, like Hakuba, mountains and backcountry, and then we'll talk about you and your affinity with it. But I think it's really important before we even go there is just to touch on that Hakuba is an amazing mountain range and absolutely, endless on possibilities. However, it is a place where I feel like, and I'm sure you guys will agree, that you have to be really aware of everything that's below you, besides you, above you, funnels from different directions towards you. Because I think it should be really common knowledge that a lot of the backcountry access in Hakuba funnels into catchments or zones where if you're not aware or thoughtful, you could seriously impact someone that you had no idea was there.
Yeah, very easily.
Yeah.
Especially on the open faces and like remote triggering baddies.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really is pretty notable in Hakuba is the accessibility. You can take the top lift on Hapo, first point would be, and you can hike for 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden you're at the top of a big alpine face with it's complete backcountry. But usually when you get to the mountains of that sort of scale and that sort of consequence, you usually have to put in a fair amount of effort. But
or be in a helicopter.
Yeah, but those areas in particular, yeah, it's just so easy to get to.
And it's not something that's generally associated with Japan either. which is also another reason why I think it's not understood. From what you're saying there, we've all seen it where there's people dropping down this consequential big mountain terrain with, you know, hoodies on or no equipment, no nothing. It's really scary, and people just have no idea what they're dropping into. And it's not just they might be doing a mellow line, that there's 100 people from up the mountain that way who've got to go through that path. And if you're, you know, slide slipping the mountain and causing a whole lot of slough or cause something to go off, it could affect a whole bunch of people up further getting home safely. That's definitely got to be at the forefront of anyone's mind. Doing backcountry in Hakuba, and if you're not familiar with the area, obviously get a experienced guide and don't mess around. In saying that, Hakuba is a unique place, which is why it's featured in so many amazing films and movies. And you look back to Jeremy Jones, Travis Rice, and you know, Niseko was always the powder capital of Japan, but those guys that really ripped came to Hakuba to get some of the best terrain in the world with the best snow.
It's very big terrain out there. Not to be messed with,
Yeah.
I reckon, unless if you're that caliber of rider.
So, Glassy, to start with you, what made you end up just dying to be up on that mountain 4 or 5 days a week and doing whatever you could to be there?
Well, 2017, went on a little boys trip, mid-March, and I was at Hapo, and I peered over the edge of the resort and seen that terrain that we're talking about. And it resembled waves that I ride back home. Quite big, intimidating, a lot of power, but beautiful at the same time. I told myself I'd come back and ride it. Didn't get to ride it the next year. Got to ride it the next year when I come back and started to work the rhythm. Got taken out with Josh Davies' Gim. So that's my boy.
Shout out, Josh.
I've learned a lot of my backcountry skills off him and very comfortable in the mountains with him. He's one of Aussie's good mates as well, one of the boys. And then from there, the more I spent the time out there, the more I fell in love, and the more it sort of just kept drawing me back. And now I live at the base of it and get to get it in the best conditions possible, because I get to wait for the right days in the season, let it stable up, wait for the sunshine, and go rip amazing power lines with the boys and the girls.
Someone's got to do it, I guess.
Someone's got to.
Someone's got to do it. And I guess for you, Glassy, it was really surfing, bodyboarding to a bit of a dabble in snow sports, and really kind of falling in love, I guess, a bit with the craft and the familiarities of the snowboard craft and the shaping side, which is part of your obviously family. I guess from there, just the big mountain side of things just captured you, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just felt like I was surfing, but surfing on the earth. Like with the backcountry, you got to put the effort in. And like I grew up on the south coast where there's a lot of surf waves, but you got to put a bit of effort in to get to them. There's a couple hour walk sometimes, and it just suits me in the mountains, because it's just like what I done growing up.
Yeah,
just like walking to get some cool lines with the boys.
yeah,
and that's.
Yeah, that makes you happy, mate. Yeah, no, all good. So, Mikey, let's move on to you, mate. Mountains in Hakuba, moving more into backcountry. How did that all eventuate more for you?
Yeah, well, I guess like when I first arrived, that was already on my radar. You know, like I had been doing some backcountry in New Zealand and stuff. I already had a split board pre-arriving, and I was just ready to go. I was young, heaps of energy, and then I just got so lucky with some of the opportunities. You know, I had a bunch of people that had tons of experience, and somehow managed to get on the right side of them, and they ended up taking me out. And I was just trying to be a sponge, you know, like every time I went out, ask questions. Why are you skiing that? Why aren't we skiing here? What do you see here? And it was just so exciting for me, you know, like, because, you know, you always look at stuff from the chairlift and you go, oh, how good does that look? And now I was like looking at stuff up in the chairlift and then going, let's go ski that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. And then,
Analyze it better and know what you were.
yeah, just like, well, not even as that, like knowing that like the opportunities there, like you can do that and anybody can do that, you know, with the right skills and the right evaluation and the right drive, you know. I think like one of my gripes with backcountry skiing is a lot of people kind of base it like it might be unattainable to some people. And they also say that it's just super gnarly all the time, you know, like, and it's only as gnarly as you want it to be.
Conditions are never good and you should never have been there.
Totally, yeah. It's like surfing, you know, if you want to go surfing, but you don't like big waves, well, you go surf the small waves.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine. Like, backcountry isn't just going and riding the biggest, steepest, gnarliest thing you can ski or anything like that. It's just about like moving your body and like, you know, I didn't expect to have as much fun going uphill as I did downhill, but you end up getting that.
It happened.
Yeah, and you know,
Yeah, that sense of achievement, like, of course, it's way better going downhill, but there is, at times, the whole process of going up the hill and getting there and looking over and knowing that your two legs got you there as opposed to the iron horse.
Exactly,
Yeah.
mate. So, you know, and that whole thing, that's like, it wasn't just this, obviously the skiing completely untouched lines all day is amazing. And I'll never deny that. But yeah, the whole concept of it, and the whole science behind it as well, you know, as far as snow science, that really caught my attention. And I really had a lot of fun doing that and then having to think about things before you do them. And then obviously, yeah, there are consequences if you get it wrong, but you can also go out and do it in a safe manner. And you can have a great day with your friends and it just pulls you together and you get back at the end of the day and you feel like you've just done so much, you know, and yeah, it just pulls people together. You meet great people, cements friendships. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were someone who, you know, worked closely by you and, you know, went out on a couple of tours with you when Grant was nice enough to give me a freebie or whatever. I think you were always really good at connecting with your guests and just having a yarn and really enjoying what you did, whether it was, you know, a crew of hardcore powder hounds or people who were just dabbling in the backcountry for the first time. I felt like you really enjoyed your job
Totally. Yeah.
either way.
And I do, yeah. And it is about that. Is, you know, you got to create the right environment for those people to feel comfortable, and you also got to pick what, like, not everybody wants to go and do the big stuff, and that's completely okay. And you still can have fun without it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's something that you know, which I guess has brought us all here together. Is you're always walking through the shop, and we would shred together. So whenever I'd see Mikey getting a coffee, I'd be like asking him what the snow's doing, what's going on. When
I was going out skiing and you're stuck in the shop.
And as I got to know you, I was doing the same. Like I was pointing you aside, seeing what the snow was doing in different zones, so I could get my 3D map going for me.
And same thing, like I'd be walking through the shop saying hello to everyone, but I'd spend too much time talking to Liam if he was in the shop about has he been up lately? Did you get it? Was it good? Tell me about it. And trying to live vicariously through him.
Living in my boots, as you used to say.
Yeah, living in your boots. But I think, you know, that's the beauty. And I truly believe that if you care and you're passionate and you're living somewhere, you need to listen and ask questions of the other people who have more recently been in the mountains and make sure that you suck everything in like a sponge to be as safe as you possibly can out there.
Definitely.
Sure. Yeah. But I guess, you know, to elaborate a little bit more on and whatnot, to lay it out without giving away too much secrets, I think there's sunny day Hakuba after a storm when the conditions are good and there's a whole bunch of things that are possible on those days. and they are a lot more often than you'd find them up north, I guess, in Hokkaido, which doesn't get as much big dumps and gaps between storms. But I'd say that your sunny day after a storm when the snow's settled and there's been good snow, that opens up a whole different kettle of fish in Hakuba. But apart from that, if it's mid-storm and it's dumping and it's windy and there's cloud cover, you're in the trees in that more side country, backcountry. Yeah, what's your boys' take on those two different things? Is there something that you prefer? They're obviously
Well,
very different.
there's no difference. There's no side country. Once you're beyond that resort boundary, it's backcountry. You're there on your own. You got to pick the right people you're with, the right days. It's still could be tree line, but it's not going to be safe all the time. But a lot of the time, there's a lot of magical days in those little gullies in the backcountry off the side of the resort that you could spend the season worth of day after day riding and be a very happy human by the end of it. If you know your facts, know the right people, know the right zones, put the research in, it's a very magical place and quite safe if you do it right.
Yeah, I guess the major difference is those more open areas on the days that you're in the trees. It's not possible.
There are no-go zone.
You can't do it without the trees there to give you vision and break up that fog or mist or whatever. You're done. So I guess that's where you see a lot more of that tree riding coming through in your footage. But Hakuba is truly probably at its best, I'd say, when that cloud does go away and you can open up those dreamy, looking lines. Mikey, have you got a memory or a line or anything that really stands out to you?
Yeah, probably one of the north shoots of Shikushidake. Yeah,
It's a really big, straight, long one, isn't it?
yeah, it's like it's a bit of a mission to get to. We ended up hiking up and then doing a little overnight bit and getting going early the next morning. You don't have to do it, but it just sort of breaks up the day a bit. Yeah, like you said, we got it. It was kind of late in the season because it was a north aspect. It was still holding really good snow, and it's just look, just love opening up the throttle. Like it was just great snow, full shoot, not a single track.
So was it full winter snow still?
No, it was starting to get into So when I went at Harvard, it had snowed in like a week probably, maybe more. So it really allowed the snowpack to settle down a lot more.
Yeah.
And we had like a settled weather period, and then so we went up there and me, Ben, and Luke, there were no other tracks up there or anything, and just nice. We all picked a cooler each and just charged it down, and I think we were having beers by midday that day. But it was one and done. I don't think I could have gone up again. It was a bit of trail breaking, but I'd say that's probably one of my highlights as far as those seasons. There's honestly just too many to count, and it's kind of just become a big blur of bliss in my mind, to be honest. But what you were touching on before is that, some of my fondest memories haven't been on those bluebird days. They've been power days in the trees, ripping with friends, and I think that's the beauty of that area, is the fact that there are so many different options according to conditions, and there are so many nooks and crannies. And the thing about that sort of area is that people often get very funneled into the same areas, and you'll go and there's a bowl or something like that that's completely tracked out, and a short traverse away is the same sort of terrain and not a single track in it. So it's like a lot of people follow areas.
That's why you get a guide.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And and there's just, I've seen it time and time and again. You go to a zone and there's tracks, and then if you just maybe go down like 50, 100 meters and then over that ridge,
the hidden valley.
Yeah,
and it's amazing, and I think that's a big thing with Hakuba. As you explore certain, side country terrains, you think that you know it quite well, but then you accidentally pop over this ridge and you were like literally 15 meters to where you were the last lap.
Yeah.
And it just opens up a whole
Another apron.
Yeah, and you're like, what? How did this aspect exist? Is this like some magic man? Like he's just like, what?
There's
Like,
some magic sorcery going on over there.
yeah, especially I won't say where, but there's the south gullies that do that really well, and you're just like, what? Oh,
Yeah.
Totally.
Take a different gully and you end up at the same exit. You say, well, how did that happen?
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah, and I guess on that with some of those gully and those side country exits, there is some really gnarly passes where there's big avalanche gullies, and you won't think much of it until it's spring and it's gone, and all of a sudden the gully and this nice little creek bed that was just sitting there is buried with 4 meters of giant snow boulders, and you're like, holy, yeah, if anyone was in that path, they're not being found for months and months. Well, if it happened in March, we'll find you in July.
Yeah.
That's probably the most intimidating and respectful thing that you see in the Hakuba, especially those pathways out, when you're like, okay, yeah, this is, but yeah, we're not here to mess around.
Wrong place, wrong time. You can definitely get blindsided in some of those areas. And there's honestly, there's nothing you can. Yeah, it's just the thing about avalanches will happen when they happen, whether it's a person or it's nature doing it. And if that avalanche is happening 1,000 vertical meters up the mountain, and you're down there, there's no way to predict that, and there has been multiple instances and fatalities in that area where people have just been going through a crux area, and a slide has been released or has released way above, and they've been cleaned up, and that's not pretty. But yeah, it is. That's you want the treats, you got to roll the dice sometimes.
But yeah, I guess that's the one thing that we're really trying to bring awareness to. A lot of the fatalities in Hakuba is not necessarily a fault of anyone who's done the wrong thing. There's just so many dangerous pathways which your mistake could affect so many people in that valley or around, and you have no idea until you hear the helicopter coming,
Yeah, totally.
Always the avalanches. It's what's underneath the snow, because all these exits are creek beds, and there's a lot of holes, and a lot of the time you are riding out these fun little tree zones, and people drop their guard.
Yeah.
And you look ahead, and there's someone in a hole, or there's someone helping someone out of a hole, or one of your mates falls. The snow gives out, and they fall in a hole. Like, you got to be aware. You got to still stay close. You can't drop the guard. Once the line's done, you wait till you're back at the chairlift or back in the resort.
Yeah, and Japan, especially with that, even more so up north with holes from, bamboo and whatnot. I've had a friend where Tomo was randomly there. We weren't working together or anything, and he all of a sudden was there when we were trying to find our mate. We fell into a quad crack, and Tomo was there with his snowboard helping him get dug out, and it's just, 40 meters to the side of the groomed area, which is the backcountry. And if we didn't know our mate was there, there's no way he could have got out.
Yeah,
Now it's just that he just unluckily fell into a hole. People think it's funny that you have a whistle on your backpack.
Life-saving.
If you don't have something like that and you fall into a hole like that, his phone wasn't working, there was no reception.
And often when you fall in these holes, you're going to be upside down.
Yeah.
Just the way gravity works, your board get caught, head goes down.
Japanese tree hole.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the other things with that exact story. he normally has his phone in a pocket down here, but he used his phone on the chairlift and super randomly put it back in his chest pocket. So if it wasn't for the fact that he had it, he wouldn't have been able to even signal to us that he was lost. So we went and started looking for him. And yeah, shook him up and all of us up. And as fucked as it is to say, excuse my French, those reminders are good at times because it keeps you on your toes.
I think absolutely. Any lesson learned from an event like that is so handy because it means you got to learn the lesson. It didn't take the person.
Yep.
And I think every bit of that's so valuable to take away from.
100%. So from there, boys, Glassy, I think we're at any standout Hakuba moments for you, mate, or lines, or just, especially the last few years, you've been very determined to make the most of every day out there. Is there anything that you really wanted to tick off, or something that you really makes you frothy?
Well, this year we tried to get Yarragadake, me, Josh, and Robbo. We had two planned attempts that the weather changed, and then we just didn't go. And then late in spring, we got a window. We went out, camped, got about 300 meters from the peak. My hip tightened up, and I kind of called it. I was like in a safe spot to get back down to camp so I could watch the boys hopefully ride the line. We all thought it was a safe idea. We all had vision the whole way down. Josh and that got a little bit further up and they weren't able to get the peak. And now not getting it has made me quite hungry to get it. And even if I don't get it next year, I feel like I'm going to be going Hakuba for quite a few years and going to be training and doing all the courses I can just to make sure I have the skills just to do it and I can rely on my body, get to rip it in some nice snow and be able to enjoy it.
Yep.
After having those few.
So just to elaborate for those that don't know, I guess it's like a definite overnight.
Yeah. Well, you can do it
to that.
Can do it in a day, but Yarragadake is the big pointy one as you drive over the bridge looking back at Hakuba.
Yep.
It's a dream line and I'm pretty sure everyone that drives over that bridge looks at it and wants to ride it.
Yep.
And now I got to drive for that now. But there's a lot of small lines that I really like that are closer to the resort and about a 45-minute hike away from one of the resorts is a Para. And I try to get that every year just because it's a bucket list one every year.
That's one of the tastiest looking lines for sure. And I know Mikey's been over there with Travis and I've always looked over at that and think about it as dreamy. It just got that thing, and there's been a lot of
settings.
There's been a lot of really good GoPro footage from some of those spines over there, and it just makes it look. And you sit there and you look at it when you're walking up that other spine, and you look across, and you just think about all the footage of it, and
and you can
want the conditions to be perfect so you can charge it.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get that really good conditions with Travis. I think as a YouTuber, he chucked a video up on his POV of that. I got to shred it nowhere near as gracefully because I was carrying a lot of stuff. But
yeah, I'll find the footage of that and put it on the YouTube version.
It was
that footage is
sick.
So sick.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite.
And I think Nick Russell was there too.
Yeah,
he's the Patagonia athlete now, Olympic athlete. He's
my God, and my man.
But he's really doing some awesome stuff as far as human powered human powered snowboarding and getting after it.
I said Aussie at Peekaboo just the other night.
Yeah.
That's a good clip we watched.
And he's very much aligned with your sort of style as well. He's very flowing and it's dreamy to watch. Super dreamy. And very lucky to get to watch those guys snowboard. So yeah.
So before we, crack on to, talk about what we're going to talk about and probably the next episode when we've gone and shredded some peaks together. Glassy, you've obviously come back to Oz motivated from your time in Hakuba and spent a fair bit of time on the main range.
Yeah.
Tell us?
There's so much to do out there. And skiing amongst the gum trees in the lower section of it is fun, but there's a western face zone over there, and it actually resembles Hapo North Face ever so slightly in terms of terrain, pitch, and flow of land. Definitely not the same quality as snow. We definitely go out there hunting the corn and harvesting in spring. There's just, you can go out there, you can camp, there's amazing views. Just a beautiful part of the world, and I'm drawn to it again because it's like Hakuba. It allows me to train on the terrain I want to be riding in the really good snow.
Yeah, I think that's something that's pretty unique about you, mate, and I think it's awesome that there's not many people who, you jumped into board sports, probably snowboard sports a little bit later, and because of your affinity with shaping craft, because of your background, you've gone straight into loving getting into the backcountry and being creative and drawing your lines and whatnot. And then not many people then become activists in the backcountry in Australia so quickly, and you jumped straight into it, which was epic, mate. Like you skipped 10 years of riding and went straight to the soul.
Yeah, pretty much. I've been through every application to get to the top of the hill, from snowshoes to heavy soft split boards to into the carbon hard boots.
Yeah, we talked a lot about trying that out on the Alpine.
I was, and they're a great tool for the main range because you got a lot of distance to cover and it is firm. And I lost too much board feel to actually thoroughly enjoy them and be able to use them for what they're worth. Yeah, so I'm back to soft boots this year.
Really?
Back
to soft boots.
After swearing I'd never.
Yeah, it sold me on hard boots, bro. I was like, oh, it's me eyeing up a pair of hard boots.
I've got plans to, I'm going to say, butcher the boots and bindings to try and find the feeling I'm after.
Okay.
Because now I've got soft boots, so I can kind of mess around and get a little bit creative in the shed and cut some holes in some boots and add some straps to the hard boots.
I guess a bit of depth to that as a backcountry snowboarder, and then obviously any skiers will give you shit because trying to traverse on a split board can be rather challenging, specifically in the soft boots, right? Like, you gotta hustle as a snowboarder to keep up with skiers. Like, you need to be fit, you need to be on it. It's
you can pretty much tell how good of and how solid of a rider, especially a snowboarder, is by how well they can handle a bit of a to traverse with a skier.
Yeah.
And if they don't fall behind, then you probably get a really solid snowboard.
Yeah, they've spent a lot of time struggling. But we need each other. I'm a firm believer of that.
I spend a lot of time shredding with snowboarders, and I don't really care, who I'm shredding with. This is only friends on a power day. I just want to shred with my mates.
Yeah.
If we're of a similar ability and we want to do the same thing and we happen to feel like that place tomorrow is going to be on, then I'll probably see you there.
Yeah, totally.
Boards and skis are just made of the same material.
Well, yeah. Totally, man. And you get the same feeling, like I do both now. But yeah, now it's hard picking whether I'm going to be on skis or a snowboard, but they both have their attributes and they both have their downfalls for sure.
I do regret not spending more time through COVID on a snowboard, but the snow was really good, so I couldn't waste. I couldn't waste days. The unfortunate problems of a good snow season. So I couldn't waste any days. Damn it.
Bit like this year.
Yeah.
Couldn't waste any days this year.
Mikey, before we wrap up, just wanted to also touch on you a bit on the NZ a little bit more. You obviously once spending a bit of time away from Hakuba and the guiding, spent a bit more time back home.
Yeah.
And tried to, get yourself more qualified. Meant a bit of a stint being a ski patroller.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the club field scene in NZ and your froth.
Yeah, happily do that. Yeah, so like the spur for me to become a ski patroller It all happened in Hakuba, actually. I was ski touring with a guy called Doug Krause. He runs a podcast too, Slide. I don't know if he's doing it anymore, but yeah.
Shout out, Doug.
Shout out Doug Krause. He's an absolute legend among men, currently in Zimbabwe. Hope you're liking the line and stuff. But yeah, he was an industry professional. I believe he was contracted to get the Avalanche control program set up in Sagaike, the kind of Black Diamond areas. And I was just asking him about, I was like, we're talking about avalanches and this and that. I was like, but how do you know? I think one thing about avalanche science is that, yes, there is so much science to it and there is so much depth to it and all of that. But it's not like math. You can't just like divide it and be sure thing that something's going to happen, right? It's about testing and, developing like a knowledge base. And even at that, after you've done all the tests, everything like that, you're still having a stab, There's nothing
just
for sure, really.
I feel like you just described AI is not going to help us with this one.
I don't know. Maybe it will. I don't know. So anyway, I'm yarning with him. I was like, well, and he's like, you know what you got to do? You got to go throw a bunch of bombs. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds pretty fun. So he's like, yeah, go become a ski patroller, like you look at a slope and you go, oh, do you think that's going to slide? I'll tell you what's going to test it, an explosive. So yeah, so I think that season I ended up strapping on, going to see an Aussie at the shop and loaning a pair of skis. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And started practicing my skiing and I was pretty terrible. Man, I was pretty terrible. Yeah.
You're saying that you got a pair of JJ7. You're not the tallest guys. That's a bit taller than you.
Yeah.
Power skis. And you were skiing side country and backcountry, powered, like not going slow.
Yeah, thanks.
Like, yes, I watched you go from like off balance and struggling to like hell of a lot more confident and frothing.
Getting there.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah. I said like, I have just as much fun on skis as I do on a snowboard and vice versa. And now it's really confusing.
He said that.
So yeah, I ended up sending out a few applications. I decided that I wanted to move on from Wanaka. I just wanted a bit of change, and I ended up getting a job at Porter's Alpine Resort. Shout out Porter's. I've still got a lot of good friends that work up there and stuff. So, and that's in Canterbury, in the Craigieburn range. So there's a lot of people that have been there, but it also sort of flies under the radar a bit. It's not the easiest as far as access goes, and also riding the lifts. So a lot of them, Porter's where I was working, had a lift and 3 T-bars, but it's neighbouring fields, what are known as the club fields. Yep. So
nutcrackers.
Yeah, so basically they're not a commercial operation. They're not really geared to make a bunch of money. It's just a lot of volunteer work to maintain these fields, and just it's insane, mate. It's kind of like last of its thing around there,
Yeah, we have big plans to do a NZ.
Take you for a bit of a trip.
Hot field episode.
Yeah.
With Mikey and Tommy Elville. So maybe next year if you guys like and subscribe. So please do.
So yeah, I think the New Zealand club fields are just an incredible experience. Most of them have lodges up in the snow. It's like shared accommodation. You all sit down for dinner together, hear each other's stories. Beers are on tap. And I guess the most notable thing is the nutcrackers. Everybody talks about the nutcrackers. So basically a supercharged rope tow that you've got to hold on to, and then you've got a hinged bit of metal that you flick around the rope, and you wear like a little harness, and that will take you to the top. And no grooming, so it can be really great or pretty bad as well. But the crowds are few and far between. So just to wrap them off quickly, you've got Mount Olympus out the back. Got a little hat going on for them. You've got Broken River, Craigieburn, and then you've got Temple Basin there as well. I think that's it.
You have some favourite, or do you like them all collectively the same?
Nah, look, I don't have a favourite. They're all very different and very unique. They are stunning, mate. Like the scenery there is insane. Again, that sense of accomplishment, because it doesn't give it up easy. And then if you get it good, it's just so good. And you'll be skiing, knee deep powder with 30 other people all day. So yeah, so I ended up training at Porter's and had some great mentorship around there, and which was super fun. And then on top of that, learning a bunch of other critical skills, like a lot of snowpack analysis. And probably the hardest one for me is the medical side of things. Trying to deal with somebody with a busted up femur is pretty intimidating when you haven't spent a bunch of years at medical school, like learning about that. But had epic support from the Westpac Rescue, and then a lot of patrollers that are a lot more experienced than me that sort of guided my way, and I ended up managing that patrol for a couple of years. So that was really fun, and so I got to sort of do things how I liked it for a little bit and try to make some improvements, which I think I did make, and then just sort of carried on from there. New Zealand backcountry is amazing. It can be challenging. It can be terrifying. It can be euphoric. It's not easy. You got to really, New Zealand, the snow doesn't start till halfway up the mountains, right? So if you're going to ski tour or something, you're probably going to get some wet feet along the way.
I think New Zealand as well is probably the best country if you're a ski tuner to work at, because it's rocky.
It's a lot of rocks. Yeah.
It's rocky and it's sharp and it's unforgiving.
Yeah, totally.
It's an adventure everywhere you go over there.
Absolutely, and it doesn't just stop at the end of the day of skiing, because you got the snow halfway down. Being a Kiwi, I love a multi-sport day, so I've done a ski, surf, and catch a crayfish in the same day. And I think that's a big part of New Zealand culture is just, we love adventure and we love getting out there and making the most of it, no matter what the conditions are. Whereas you might be skiing ice, but you can still have fun, or you might be skiing pow. But just the fact of getting out there and getting into nature and having a good time.
Barcy did actually say to me yesterday when we were having a random conversation that he thinks Kiwis generally, as far as like just doing activities and adventures, he said, I'm pretty sure they shit all over Aussies. I'm just repeating it.
From going, what I was saying last year when I was on my little heli trip.
Yeah.
There's a lot of active.
There's a lot of, there's a big active, there's a lot of great clubs, alpine clubs. There's a big mountain scene there, rightly so, because there's a lot of very accessible mountains. I used to live in Christchurch, and it was an hour and a half drive from my doorstep to the bottom of the lift, Of course, you're going to get a lot of people with that when you've got that accessibility, and, but hey, there's a ton of Aussies that I've worked with as well that are equally as keen, and Joel, he ran me through the ringer. He's an Aussie. So, but yeah, I think and the thing is now is just I think that the doors opened a lot for Australians as well to go and experience that. And it's on the radar for a lot of Aussies, and we love that. And I'm stoked that I talk to, I'm living in Torquay now with your next door neighbour basically. And I'm stoked at how many Australians I meet that have been to New Zealand, whether it's skiing, surfing, fly fishing, hiking. You guys getting over there and getting amongst it, and it's great because
Well, I think that's another thing to touch on is that New Zealand, and you're super cheap to get over there, especially in winter, and the opportunity to switch out a foggy, crappy, rainy day on the mountain for another activity, which is like part of your pass with most mountains over there now, is pretty phenomenal and awesome.
Yeah.
So, when the flight and the car hire and everything else and that flexibility all comes to a similar price of what it could cost to go shredding here, it's
and on that,
a no-brainer.
Yeah, well,
living in Sydney or Brisbane, it's cheaper to go over there. And people do the drive and on the day down to Perisher and Predvale.
On that point as well, it's like a lot of the clientele that I was taking out in Japan were flogging off the Aussie snow season because they could fly over to Hakuba and get flights, accommodation, all of it for the same price as 2 weeks in Australia. Like, I don't know, I've heard that you have to pay to drive up the road, which is pretty crazy. Don't have to do that in New Zealand.
Yeah, I guess it's the industry's hanging on by its teeth here in Australia.
Takes a lot of money to run a ski field, so I can see why they've, when you've got especially working in the industry in New Zealand, a window to break even. Just to break even is a huge thing, So the overheads is insane when you've got a few snowcats running around the mountain.
Well, I think the easiest way to actually make people understand that is to turn around and go, well, all these mountains are busy in winter, and a lot of the tourists are based out of Queenstown. But wait a second, Queenstown's more busy in summer,
Yeah.
and they have more visitors in summer than winter. And then it's like the Australian mountains, they are ghost towns in summer.
Jenny Bynes copping the flogging in summer now.
You get a little bit more, and Bright's obviously really popular near the mountains, but it's really hard for them to build that. It's been a lot harder for Australian resorts to build that year-round
legacy.
Yeah, and following Whistler, it's crazy with mountain biking.
Totally. And a lot of the a lot of the ski fields have had to pivot on there. And it's awesome because now you've got lift access mountain biking, which is so much fun.
Yeah, it's just, hope that everyone can continue to let us all live the dream and keep spending the money so we can
Absolutely
ride with ease.
Yeah. And I think, getting back to backcountry, that's also a huge initiative for backcountry skiing, because a lot of the mountains that I've ridden there offer one-way tickets, right? So you can $20. I don't know if Triple Cone still does it. I don't think they do, but I know that Mount Cheeseman does it. I forgot Mount Cheeseman in the clubbies list, actually.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Redeemed.
Sorry, Mount Cheeseman.
Redeemed yourself.
Yeah. Great little spot. Epic for the family. Great hospitality. But yeah, you can get one-way tickets and then do some self-powered skiing, and you're spending, rather than $200 in a day, you're spending $50 in a day. And
you can do that up at Fredbow as well.
Totally. So I think that's also what's sparking the popularity of backcountry skiing so much, is that monetary as well. It's just easier on the pocket,
Yeah, it's the cool version of cross-country skiing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll leave it there for now. I think this conversation will be revisited with some more updated lines, hopefully, and some chats on main range and some chats in club fields and some
talk about some lines in the main range another day.
Yeah, and some time on the hill in Hakuba. But to finish off, I think what we're really trying to show here is that Hakuba is a super unique, amazing mountain. It's Europe in Japan with endless opportunities, really good snow days after it snows. However, it's also not to be messed with and quite a dangerous place. So if you're not familiar, and be a hero, get a guide. We're sitting here frothing right now because we have so many amazing memories of good days, whether it's when the time's right and you could get out above the clouds and open up on a alpine line, or whether it's hiding in the trees in the middle of a storm when it's bottomless and frothy. I guess, always have a super special place in my heart. And I have a boner. No. What have you got to say to finish on that, mate?
I got to say, I might give a shout out to my bosses that I work for, doing a little bit of guiding in Australia, Dave and Pete Herring. They're really good coaches, and if you need some avalanche training, hit them up. They got quite a few AST courses running this year, so I'm feeling fast from what I've been told yesterday. So yeah, get educated and get out and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Fella?
Yes, same sort of thing. Yeah, if it's something that you haven't done before and you're interested in getting into, you can start learning straight away. There's so many epic online resources. I know the Mountain Safety Council in New Zealand's got some excellent modules. Nothing's going to replace getting your feet on the snow and getting some in-person training. And yeah, just get going, get out there, start slow, work your way up, and it's about having fun.
Yeah, and I think to not be intimidated, a lot of it is making wise decisions and not being an idiot. So, it is intimidating and there's a lot to learn, but trust your gut and make wise decisions and be thoughtful, and you're, halfway there, really, aren't you?
Totally. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you all for listening. This isn't over. We got more from these legends, but stay frothy.
Etc. You don't know, devil shaman says something, I bat them to the max. And it's like some idiot someone want to stop them from get a piece of the pie. Oh, I'm told no disrespect, could go and die. You hear me now? Kia Bamba, them have dubs, we play fast, I play slow, them have flows. Like nobody knows, them kill soul, a sound clash and dance all. And mash up stage shows, but some